Armando, I loved your piece about American athletes not stepping in it recently with ample opportunities to step in it. They avoided it, and as we get ready to go into the Olympics and the opening ceremonies in Paris tomorrow, it's pretty refreshing to see that, and I thought you captured that well in your piece.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool that amid some terrible moments in our nation's history, and I think we can all agree on that, when a former president and the guy who is leading all the polls to be the next president, there's an assassination attempt on his life, and it's like, that what? So terrible moment. And then on the other hand, you have the sitting president who clearly is not all there and has some, although he would deny it, some medical issues and cognitive issues. When that happens within the span of like a week, you know that it's prime time. Step in the pile of muck in social media, and when people get a microphone put in front of them, and especially when they're sports people. And what I noticed is that sure enough, nobody stepped in it. No one did anything stupid. You know that one of those things in tennis, what is it, an unforced error?
Yep, that's
there
what
were
it
no
is.
unforced errors. And then on top of that, I saw Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, who the media told me hate each other because they're on different teams and they're envious and they're of different races. They were on the same team and they were like dapping each other up after a play. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not what the narrative has told me. And then there's LeBron James, who I am not a fan of, but he gets told that he is going to be the flag bearer for the American Olympic team. And LeBron James, who kneeled in front of the flag a lot, who was all BLM, who was all anti-American seemingly, and pro-China when he was over there, to the point where he threw, the former Houston Rockets general manager under the bus. He talked about what an honor it was and what a privilege it was and how it made him feel emotional. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, did they just body double LeBron James? The point being that it was patriotic LeBron James. And so all of that made me feel good about sports for maybe that one fleeting moment.
Well, you would think that when a former president, any former president, survives an assassination attempt, it would immediately cause everyone to sort of get back together and unite again for a little bit. And I did see a lot of that. And I think you bring up a good point, Armando, about the sports world seemingly doing that, even LeBron James in the moment. It's also a bit distressing when you see how quickly it goes right back to the same rhetoric, right, about politics and about the other side, which is sort of depressing for me to see. But I think you're right from a sports perspective, and I talked about this the other day, and I got just lit up by people online that did not want to hear it, but LeBron James right now is one of the more likable characters on the U.S. men's basketball team. And I'm not a LeBron James fan either for things that he's said in the past and things that he's done. And I don't agree with much of what he says, but I watched the video from your piece that the Today Show did when Steph Curry told him about it. That was very likable. He's almost a 40-year-old guy that's carrying this team late in games and stepping up when no one else does. He's been a part of the American roster for close to 20 years. There's a lot to like there. And I'm a big enough guy, even if I disagree with someone, to say, hey, credit where credit's due. I like this dude right now. I'm rooting him on for success as he represents the United States of America. I wish more could do that with anyone that they disagree with. And I just don't think we're there yet based on the response to the video we posted the other day from this show.
No, look, I'm right there with you, and I get it. There's going to be people that when the American basketball team goes out in the Olympics, they're going to root against the Americans, because even though they are American, because of LeBron James and some other things that NBA players have done. Me, I'm a little bit more of a forgiving guy. Chad, there's some things I won't forgive. You touch my family, I kill you. Back in the day, you cheat on me, you're done. Although, what woman would ever cheat on me? That was ridiculous back in the day.
It would never happen. There's not a
But
woman on the planet that would do that.
It was announced pre-date. Anyway, the point being that you gotta roll with some punches. Humans are pliable. It's a fluid situation. Some humans aren't, but in this case, I'm gonna give LeBron James a small benefit of the doubt for this one thing. And yeah, 5 minutes after I write that, I expect somebody to have done a tremendous disservice to the sporting community and said something stupid. But for the moment, it stood.
Well, and by the way, the people that were complaining about me saying that didn't watch the video and didn't hear what I had to say. They saw, what was said or something about, there's no way this guy's likable. I will root against him no matter what. I'll root for the other countries. I'll do that. I would say be the change that you want to see. Like, if you're talking about rhetoric or whatever, it's okay for you to take the first step and say, I'll admit when someone I disagree with does something well or says something well or believes or says something that I'm okay with. It's okay to take that first step. But instead, Armando, as we've seen, and it's the same way in sports too a lot of the time, it's always, well, this side does it worse. They did this, so I'm going to say this. Well, but they do that. They said that. Well, at some point, someone's going to have to be the bigger person and say, you know what, I don't want to be about that anymore. I'm going to stand on common sense. I'm going to do this. Forget what they're doing. I don't care. This is the way I'm gonna be. But I don't think we're any closer to that, unfortunately.
Welcome to social media, my brother.
Yep. Oh, no, I'm fully aware of the pitfalls of social media, no doubt about it. I think we're fully aware, Armando, of the pitfalls of the COVID-19 pandemic and all the issues that it presented. I'm fascinated with this Olympic Games, and specifically the opening ceremonies, to see television numbers, because I pray this is the last time we talk about anything post-COVID. Post-COVID ratings for this. Post-COVID work for a team. Post-COVID play by an athlete. Whatever it is. We talked about things within the COVID window and that bubble and what happened. And then when sports and life started to come back from COVID, that was a different conversation. I look at it now, and this is really the first Olympic Games that we're fully out of COVID. And we're going to see what the numbers look like ratings-wise from that, because COVID killed the Olympics and the television audience. If you want an example, the Pyeongchang Olympics in 2018, not exactly a memorable one. I don't remember where I was every night watching the 2018 Pyeongchang Olympics and the Winter Games. But the opening ceremonies, Armando, did 28 million viewers on NBC. Then in 2020, which became 2021 for the Tokyo Games, that was down to 17 million viewers in America, 11 million down. And then the Beijing Winter Games in 2022, and in large part because America does not like the policies of China, which is understandable, it went down again to 16 million, and the ratings were abysmal for that Olympic Games. Will we get closer to a 28 million plus number? I think it's going to be north of that, honestly, because of Paris. It's not Pyeongchang, but it's Paris, another P city. I think all of those things are going to lead to a huge television number. People want to watch sports. People want to rally around something. I'm hopeful that the ratings are huge for these Olympic Games, and we're going to find out tomorrow night.
Well, yeah. Obviously, I think that if you let's put it this way: if you hold an Olympics and want an American audience to pay attention, chances are good that you don't hold it in a city that it sounds like it's coming off of a takeout menu.
Yeah.
At a local Chinese restaurant. Okay, so Pyeongchang or Pyeongchang.
I said that to my wife today. And this is not us disparaging anyone, but I just simply get more excited by non-Asian Olympic Games. And maybe it's the huge time difference. Maybe it's everything else, but I don't get worked up over Tokyo, over Beijing. Even in 2008 in Beijing, where they had that spectacle of an opening ceremony, I didn't get overly excited about that. I was excited about Michael Phelps in that time. But give me a major European city or American city to host a winter or summer games, and I'm automatically more interested.
Chad, I just think that people are awake. They know that those opening ceremonies were going to be propaganda. And guess what? They were.
Yeah.
So it's like, and by the way, from your mouth to God's ears about the post-COVID Olympics, and but unfortunately, the pessimist in me expects something else to happen here down the road.
COVID-20? COVID-20 at some point? We're going to have a 2025, 26.
The bird flu, the iguana flu, the hog flu,
it's going to be something at all times, no doubt. I look for things that can bring something back to monoculture, where everyone's watching something at one time together, or numbers are huge for something, and that becomes the talking points for a lot of people. We'll see if these Olympic Games accomplish that. What NBC is doing with the opening ceremonies, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, Armando, because before it's been very standard. It's been the Today Show host hosting it with some sports, figures. Bob Costas or whoever is going to be the main night anchor for the sporting events. This year, it is going to be on NBC. By the way, it's at 11:30 Central Time, 12:30 Eastern tomorrow will be the live coverage of the opening ceremonies. Then they will have an hour and a half or 2 hours when it ends to package together a 4-hour condensed version for prime time with special features they produced on athletes and countries. But with their coverage, they're going a celebrity route here. They've got Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb, both from the Today Show, and one part of it, with Snoop Dogg, who's going to be a part of the coverage for NBC. Then at another station, they've got Mike Tirico, Peyton Manning, which I love, and Kelly Clarkson together. So trying to bring in all worlds of entertainment together, Armando. Are you going to be old man, get off my lawn about this, or do you like it?
Look, I always thought the Olympics was about sports, right? So I guess that's where I fall.
It's about community, Armando. It's about bringing people together. That's what it's about.
No, it's about kicking the communists' butt.
Yes, that too.
Russia, bad. China, bad. Cuba, bad. We want to beat your ass. That's
America, good.
And by the way, but America, good. Yes. And isn't that sports in a nutshell? Because it doesn't necessarily have to be about politics, but it does have to be about an antagonist and a protagonist. And I don't want this friendship of the community of sports coming together every 4 years to compete in love. No, I want to hit them over the head and destroy them, is what I want my team to do. Look, I was the guy that watched the Dream Team games on a loop because I wanted to kick Zimbabwe's butt 178-15. It was cool. I like that. So that's me. And by the way, I was born in Cuba. I don't know if you know that, Chad.
I do know that.
Kick Cuba's butt, America.
I don't know how many times America and Cuba are going to cross paths in these Olympic Games with what
baseball,
Cuba's.
Baseball's out. No?
It's out. Yeah. So I don't know what.
Boxing.
Yeah, boxing. Boxing will be one.
Boxing, volleyball.
Whatever it is, let's beat them. That's the message here. Hey, speaking of the Dream Team and the 92 team, because I'm with you on that. That was so much fun to watch. And that was so much fun to watch Charles Barkley talk trash about Angola or whoever they were playing and not even doing any film study or research on the other teams, just knowing they were going to walk in and dominate everyone. I was surprised to see because I constantly, yes, the world has gotten a lot better in basketball, and yes, they've caught up in a number of areas, but no, there's not another team that should win this Olympic Games. It should be this American roster of these 12 Americans, 11 of which are probably future Hall of Famers on this team. They should beat everyone else in the world. But someone put this graphic out and said, I think there were 9 other NBA players in that tournament in 92, and now there's something like 60 across the whole tournament. I thought that number was actually small because I'm thinking, well, 12 of them are some of the best NBA players on the American team, and no other team has that level of NBA star across the board. So the Americans should still dominate this tournament. I hate lowering expectations for our American teams to turn it into something that, well, maybe they shouldn't dominate. No, they need to dominate this tournament. Am I wrong here?
They should dominate. They probably won't. Did you see the exhibition game that they won by 1 point, I think?
I did. South
against,
Sudan. Powerhouse.
Who?
South Sudan.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, seriously?
To which someone tweeted, there are literally dozens of basketball courts in South Sudan, so America should not be too disappointed, which I found great.
I wish that the Olympics would include tackle football, and then there would be a reckoning. They're going to include flag football here if in next Olympics, I believe. And
Peyton Manning wants to be the coach, right? He put it on the McAfee show. He said he wants to coach the flag football team.
Yeah, I'm not too thrilled about that because it doesn't involve intimidation. It doesn't involve any sort of actual violence. And I'm pro-violence for football. It's as simple as that, which is the reason that I'm super stoked about the NFL season kind of crawling up on us. But I would say to you that there's going to be some issues. We haven't caught up to the world in, like, say, soccer. We don't even call it the same game. The world has definitely caught up to us in swimming, has caught up to us in basketball, has caught up to us in volleyball. It's scary. It really is scary because, dang it, I thought we were, pretty good at those things. And all of a sudden I'm seeing the Australians. Back in the day, it was the East Germans swimming like crazy. And the Jamaicans are almost better than us in track. It's Jamaica, almost better than the United States in track. What? Jamaica is the size of South Florida. And yet, they can compete head to head with the United States of America.
It remains to be seen if America is going to win the gold in golf. Xander Schauffele won the gold in Tokyo in 2021. Bryson DeChambeau is not a part of the American Olympic golf team, but he is a part of a group that played with former President Donald Trump. And here is video of Bryson DeChambeau and Donald Trump playing golf together.
Oh, beautiful. Come on. Oh, what a shot. Partner. Great shot. That's how you do it right there. Gosh.
You think Biden can do that? I don't know. We had an argument about golf. Can you believe it?
I saw on
partner.
CNN.
I don't even know if Bryson can do that.
I don't think I could do that.
So great. I love any videos, footage of really influential people, Armando, just being dudes. Just being everyday average guys out hanging out, talking, and that back and forth right there with Bryson DeChambeau and Donald Trump. I loved it.
You know that there's also, and that is great. There's a clip of 1990s era Donald Trump headed out to an NFL game, a Bills game no less, and they put in front of him about 30 yards away the little target, gave him a football and said, all right, get the ball, pass the ball through that target. And I'm not kidding. You see this guy, he looked a lot different back then, but the ball was almost as big as his head. And he does this awkward throw, and it goes right smack dab down the middle of the target. And the entire stadium goes wild because billionaire Donald Trump, not hated back then because he still wasn't a politician and the media hadn't decided he's a bad guy, just comes out of nowhere to do something that Dan Marino and Jim Kelly and those guys back in the day were telling everybody, we do this, we get paid because we can do this.
Yeah, Donald Trump's a big, tall guy. Seems like a pretty good athlete, obviously a good golfer, way better than me with that shot we just saw, and he's 78 years old. I did like the line about, you think Biden could do that? We argued about golf. Can you believe that? He said to Bryson DeChambeau. Bryson DeChambeau is saying, look, I'll play with Kamala Harris. I'll play golf with anyone after the money they raise for wounded warriors because of all of this with Donald Trump. But Armando, I feel like I don't think Kamala Harris is probably going to take him up on that offer. I'm not even sure that Kamala Harris plays golf, to be quite honest. Not sure on that one.
She's busy down at the border solving the crisis.
Yes, someone's got to get someone's got to get on that border crisis, right, Armando? It's not going to solve itself.
She's although she wasn't responsible for it, not responsible, but she's busy down there, doing things.
She's riding up on a horse right now with Border Patrol, making sure everything's snug and secure on the border. Got to take care of that first. Jay Feely, not excited about Kamala Harris's border policies. The CBS football analyst for the NFL, covers special teams for them. He's tweeted a number of things, one of them being this: I've never been ashamed of my support for Donald Trump. I'm proud to call him my friend. I supported him in 16 and 20, especially now 2024 after they tried to kill him. The left waged political warfare against this man. They believe the end justifies the means. Stand up and fight. Also retweeted something from Kamala Harris saying, I actually agree, Kamala Harris, one party encouraged BLM riots, encouraged illegal immigration, and opened the borders, changed election laws to pick their presidential candidate, and changed laws to attack their political opponent. One party is a threat to democracy, that's the Democrats. I don't want to do a victory lap here for Jay Feely. I don't think it's any more like brave to say, who you're voting for or say these things politically. That's divisive or anything else. He certainly has the right to do that like any American does. I'm curious, though, Armando, if there's going to be any response from CBS on this, because the frustrating part of it is if you were to do this in support of Hillary Clinton in 2016 or Joe Biden in 2020 or even 2024 or Kamala Harris, it wouldn't be a news story. But Jay Feely doing it for Donald Trump, I think 2-3 months ago would have been a bigger news story. I think post-assassination attempt, it's met a little bit more with a yawn from the American public, and people aren't going to be as outraged over support for Donald Trump. Do you feel that way, Armando, or do you think this is still going to be something that's talked about and something that CBS ends up doing something about?
Well, I did write that story for OutKick, and I would be fibbing if I told you that I was confident that CBS would allow it and not in some way sanction Jay Feely, right? Apparently they are not. They announced their cruise yesterday, and Jay Feely is on there. And so there is that. And by the way, Jay Feely, I reached out to him before I wrote the story, and it took him 2 days, but he answered me today.
Nice.
And, he said that he appreciated the unbiased way in which OutKick / me handled the story. And so that's good. Having said all that, I think we're seeing a change in this country to where people aren't afraid or as afraid as they were in 2016 or even 2020 to voice their opinion on behalf of, one of the candidates. It used to be that the polls were upside down because people in their homes wouldn't even tell the pollsters on the phone anonymously who they were voting for because they were afraid of some sort of repercussion or they were afraid of being doxxed or whatever. And for good reason, because there was a lot of people who were doxxed and canceled or silenced, especially on social media. Today, you're seeing Black people come out for Donald Trump. You're seeing Hispanic people come out for Donald Trump. You're seeing Asian people come out for Donald Trump. It's not, just white guys in the suburbs coming out for Donald Trump. It's people. I believe that there was a moment where during one of his trials, his entourage, meaning the entire 28 to 35 cars that travel with this guy, rolled through the hood in Atlanta. Do you know what happened, Chad? I'll tell you what happened. People came out on the street to wave. And there's video on social media of people going, there he is. There he is. That's in a rough part of town, and they're not afraid to do it. And it's people are not afraid to put his sign up on the lawn anymore. I wouldn't be afraid if I would defend people's right to put Kamala's sign up there or Biden's sign or the actual person that the Democratic Party is gonna, put on the ticket eventually, because I don't believe it's gonna be her. But anyway, it's good. It's American. That's the reason I came here, man. I came here for people to be able to speak their mind.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I love the fact that we've now come to that point where Jay Feely can write these things on social media, and I don't immediately expect him to get disciplined in some way. And that, to me, is a sign of the times improving. Now, if CBS were to end up doing something or kind of quietly cancel him by the end of the season or something, then we have a different article from Armando Salguero, and we have a different conversation on this show about it. But right now, I love this response to it, which is pretty muted. And I think that's a good thing for our country, because I'm with you. Support whoever you want. Something that was brought up by Dave Portnoy, of all people, of Barstool Sports, on Fox and Friends in the morning. And I saw this clip, but he was talking about George Clooney, who basically kind of started the public form of the coup against Joe Biden to get him out of the race. George Clooney then came out and endorsed Kamala Harris. And I like what Dave Portnoy said. He said, George Clooney doesn't get to endorse anyone. The police union endorses people. The teachers union endorses people. You just get to tell people who you're going to vote for or who you support, right? He doesn't like the term endorse by just a single guy if you're telling people who to vote for. I'm all for that. I kind of like that. I've never thought about that wording, but he's right. If we're going to come out and say, here's who I'm going to vote for in the election, that's one thing, but we're not some body of people or big organization that's endorsing anyone. And George Clooney doesn't get to endorse anyone either. I agree with Portnoy on this.
Yeah, George Clooney, who I do not believe went to college.
Oh, I'm sure he didn't. Yeah.
And God bless him. He's got a God-gifted talent to be somebody else and to act like somebody else. But his opinion goes as far as his household. Because in my household, we don't talk about, George Clooney or anyone else on ER or anyone else on Seinfeld or anyone and what they're doing. So let's do that. Or anyone on any NFL team, baseball team, or basketball team. They have their opinion, and their opinion stops at my back front door.
Yeah. I'm with you, Armando. It is amazing how actors have the ability to sound smart. And I'm not saying that George Clooney isn't smart, but even if he wasn't, he plays so many different roles that you have to do enough research on that just a little bit about so much that you could come across as really intelligent on different topics, even if you aren't. There's a power in that. Like Leonardo DiCaprio is the same way. I feel like if he's in an interview, he's always going to sound smart because of the different characters he's played in his career. Whether or not that's true, I don't really know.
By the way, I misspoke. Clooney did graduate cum laude with honors from Northern Kentucky. He is an aerospace engineering major. No, he's not. He did graduate from Northern Kentucky, though.
Really? I didn't know that. Good for him. The Norse, I believe, of Northern Kentucky. Deshaun Foster's not coaching Northern Kentucky. He's coaching his alma mater, UCLA. And yesterday at his introductory press conference for UCLA and their introduction to the Big Ten, Armando, he dropped one of the most awkward, uncomfortable opening pressers that I've ever seen. And I really felt bad for the guy as I'm watching this. And I'm going to feel bad again as we roll this video and show you Deshaun Foster speaking to the Big Ten media for the first time ever.
Coach Foster, welcome to the Big Ten. We'll begin with your opening statement.
How you guys doing? I'm happy to be here. Glad to be a part of this great conference. Finally putting two great emblems together, UCLA and the Big Ten. We're a school that's won, 123 championships, so this fits us being right in this conference. Football-wise, we're just excited. You know, I'm sure you guys don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program, but we're in LA. It's us and USC.
The basics.
We I'm just basically excited, really. That's it. Any questions?
Whoa, that's bad. You see him look off to the side of the stage to his sports information director at one point, I'm sure, who's standing over there thinking, what else am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to do? I don't know if the SID prepared him appropriately or not, and he just completely whiffed on that opening press conference, or he just got really nervous and froze when he saw all the media members and the cameras and everything else. That was painful to watch, though, Armando. What do you think happened during that whole address?
Well, look, I feel his pain. Not everybody who is a football coach is meant to be a PR person. Not everyone who is coaching football for a living is comfortable speaking in front of people that he's never met before. And I would say to you that SID, if he didn't prepare him and give him 3 talking points, and then, coach, you say, and with that, I'll take your questions, then that guy should be out, because that's the SID's basic job, is to make everyone in the program look good, sound good, put best foot forward. And clearly, the coach was not prepared to do that. Is it catastrophic? No. Look, Deshaun Foster is going to be judged on 1 or 2 things. One of those things is the amount of W's he puts on the board, and the other thing is the amount of L's he puts on the board. And as long as he's not cheating, and as long as he's not running a rogue program, it's going to be fine, regardless of how terrible his press conferences are. Trust me, I know. I covered Brian Flores, and his press conferences were scripted to make you hate your life. And so there's that.
Yeah, Joe Philbin also wasn't Mr. Personality, and you covered him in Miami as well. So, no, there's plenty of guys that just aren't comfortable doing that, and that's all fine and well. And I love what you said about the SID, because we joked before, every day is a Super Bowl for us. That really is the Super Bowl for the sports information director. When your college head coach is appearing in front of that many media members at a media days and you're joining the Big Ten, that's a big day for that person that is in charge of football sports information for UCLA. And regardless if you prepped him or not and he just whiffed on it, that's a bad look for the SID. I'm with you. Go up there. If you're that uncomfortable, I would tell my guy or my coach, go say these two things. This one thing. Just go up there and share your excitement for being in the Big Ten. And this is my dream job. I played here. I'm excited to get going with these guys. They've really worked hard this offseason. Questions. Then you can get more comfortable when you're not talking and people are asking you questions. I mean, that, to me, if you can tell your guys that nervous, and he was very nervous, give them less to say, right?
Can I tell you something, though? If I am a dad watching that, I feel like if Deshaun Foster comes to my house, a football coach, to recruit my kid, a football coach is coming to my house to recruit my kid, not a salesman. And I like that. A real dude is coming to my house, not someone who is polished and prepped. And I like that. So based on what he tells me is my kid's future and what he tells me the program is going to do with my kid, that's how I'm going to make the decision, not based on all these platitudes that coaches come with and are ready to, repeat ad nauseum, not just at press conferences, but on recruiting trips. Many of them never being true.
I think a good salesman can sell in any different methods of salesmanship. And one of them is what you're talking about. Hey, I'm real. I'm honest. I'm a football coach. I'm going to be real with you, to families and recruits and parents and all that. Deshaun Foster could certainly pull that off. And that's what he could say about his appearance at media days. But you got to have a decent product to sell. So it goes back to what you said, Armando. If the wins are there, if they're showing progress on the field, he's going to be able to sell that way. Just like the great salesman out there can go and talk up a living room or talk up a quarterback club or a Civitan club or whatever it is, and they can sell that way also.